Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends, guys. Welcome back to r/entitled people, where people truly believe that they are the center of the universe and that nobody else matters. And in today's episode, a woman lets her 5-year-old destroy a store and then tells OP it's okay, since it's her birthday. Guys, get ready to shake your heads because the stories in this one are super entitled. Subscribe if you haven't, and as always, you can send stories to this email right here. Okay, so my husband and I are both 26 years old, and we recently hosted a family dinner to announce our pregnancy. Now it's important to add that my husband doesn't have a close relationship with his father, but we keep him around because he still has 3 minor siblings that we love and care for. My father-in-law is the type of person that still thinks women should serve men at dining times, and he has to be served first since he's the breadwinner and stuff like that. We usually don't care since we mostly ignore them. However, this time my family was present, and we consider he effed around and found out. My dad is my favorite person in the world. My mom died when I was little, and my dad took care of my older sister and I, and they're the only family I have left. At dinner, both my husband and I cooked things we knew both of our families would like. The first issue started when my father-in-law tried to sit at one of the heads of the table, and my husband told him no. My husband sat at one side, and I sat on the other, so my father-in-law was kind of in the middle, and he didn't like it at all. So the second problem and the cause of all this is that everybody was kind of serving themselves. However, my dad has a damaged nerve on his right hand, and he struggles when holding spoons, forks, and such, so I offered to serve him his plate, while my sister served him his drink, and we all sat to eat. So not even 3 or 4 minutes after that, my father-in-law asked out loud, "Hey, is no one gonna serve me my plate?" To which my husband looks at him confused and says, "No, we don't do that here." At that point, my mother-in-law gets up in a hurry and takes his plate, but my father-in-law says no. The hostess did that for her father, so she can do that for me. I tell him, yes, my father who's got an injured hand, your hand is fine. Father-in-law then says that it's either I serve him or he won't eat, and I just shrugged and said he could starve, and I didn't care. At that point, he then leaves with my mother-in-law. And while everyone agrees with me, my own father said that it was a disrespectful thing to say and I should apologize for the way I did it. So am I the a-hole? Yeah guys, I definitely don't think that OP is the a-hole at all. The father-in-law made an absolute idiot of himself by making that into such a big deal, and he doesn't deserve an apology. Like, grow the F up and grab your own food, sir. I think if I were in OP's shoes, I would have brought out the dinosaur plates and plastic forks. If you act like an absolute child, you get treated like one. But guys, let me know what you think. What would you have done in that situation? Because it's absurd, right? Crazy. This happened this morning, and I seriously can't grasp how people can be so rude and entitled. I was at the gas station this early morning, the only one there, so I pulled in and took my time. Before I got gas, I was washing my windows off with the window washer thing they have next to most gas pumps. That's when a Karen pulls up behind me and she honks her horn immediately. Now I thought maybe it was an accident, so I didn't really pay it much attention. The woman then gets out of her car and says, "Hello, excuse me, are you getting gas?" To which I say yes. I was about to start pumping after I washed the mud off my windows. I said this in a friendly way. Now, keep in mind, there was about 6 pumps at this gas station, and all of them were open. The lady could have used any single one of them, but she says, "Well, hurry the F up and get your gas then. I want to fill up here." It was at this point I noticed that my pump was the closest to the door, and I'm thinking, oh, that's why she wants my spot. The woman's absolutely rude comment did irritate me, so I was about to take my sweet old time. I pick up the nozzle, and as soon as I start pumping the gas, the woman gets out of her car again and yells to me, "Hello, you need to hurry up and get gas so I can move my car into your spot." The woman's yelling at this point, so I finally get upset and say, "Hey, there's literally any other pump you can go to right now. I was here first. The gas can only come out as quick as it allows. You're just gonna have to move your car somewhere else." With that, the woman huffs back to her car and she says, "Are you effing serious?" She then slams her door, lays on the horn, and speeds up and around to the next pump. Immediately, she slams her door again. And then the woman power walks inside to what I assume was to tattle on me. I was done getting gas and driving away before she even came back outside because the whole process didn't even take 5 minutes. Now, what boggles my mind is that I pulled out and into the Walgreens next door to get some stuff I needed. I then see the woman come out, get into her car, and immediately drive away. The woman didn't even get gas. She didn't have anything in her hand, so it didn't look like she purchased anything inside. Like, what the heck just happened? Guys, I will tell you exactly what happened, okay? The woman went inside to complain about OP using her favorite gas pump, only to be told to pound sand. And that's when she screamed, "Well, that's it, I'm taking my business elsewhere. I will never come back." And hey, some people's habits are weird though. Maybe that was her favorite spot and she gets mad at anyone who parks in it. Like the woman in this next story. Okay, I swear I'm going back to shopping online because I must be putting out some kind of pheromone that attracts these psychos. So today, about an hour ago, I drive to the supermarket and I saw a sweet end spot was open. So I pull in and get out of my car. It's all good so far. So there I am, grabbing a shopping bag from the trunk, trying desperately to remember everything I needed to buy, when someone starts on their car horn like a New York cabbie from a bad 80s rom-com. I then look around and some lady is screaming at me. So I step over and she says, and I kid you not, "Hey, you are in my space." To which I respond, "Huh?" She then repeats herself and says, "You are in my spot. Move your car." I tell her, yeah, alright, that's not happening. I then wander past her and her car and head to the shop, thinking, that's weird, but it's over. Apparently I'm a slow learner, because if that's all that was, I wouldn't be here now, would I? See, this is the moment that someone grabs me by the neck of my t-shirt, half strangling me, and tried to drag me backwards. Allow me to paint you a little picture here, Reddit. The scrawny middle-aged Karen trying to haul me back to my car weighs maybe 130 pounds sopping wet. The woman's maybe 5'2" tall, counting her low heels. Myself, on the other hand, I am on the larger side. I spend a lot of time in the gym. Now add that to my shaved head and my beard. Even at a mere 5'10", it's very rare that anyone attempts to lay hands on me. So I turn around to see that she hasn't driven off and parked. Instead, she's leapt out of her silver Audi, leaving it blocking traffic to chase after me. At that point I say, what the F do you think you're doing? She then screams, "Get out of my space." I tell her that's not happening. Now, do be a good little Karen and F off. As soon as she hears me say that, there was a brief moment of utter stillness from this creature. And then all of a sudden she says, "Wait, how do you know my effing name?" And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, y'all, she's actually called Karen. At this point, she fully loses her mind, and she starts screaming how I must be stalking her and she's gonna call the police to get me arrested. And then her mad little chicken brain finally overheats, and she leaps into her car, peels out of the parking lot, and I went and did my shopping, shaking with adrenaline from the encounter. I then got home and discovered that I only bought half the ingredients I needed for tonight's supper. Effing Karens. Guys, what are the chances of that, right? Like, I love how the woman freaks out because OP happened to guess her name. And guys, I know, not everybody that's named Karen acts like one, okay? But it just happened to be a really funny coincidence. My mom owned a hair salon for years, and she had a rule that children were not allowed unless they were the customer. The reason being is she didn't want them roaming around, bothering people, touching, or breaking things. One day, a woman who we'll call Karen has an appointment for a cut and color, and she shows up with a little girl who's maybe 5 or 6 years old. My mom sees her, says sorry, but you need to reschedule when you find a sitter for your child. The woman freaks out, says she has no choice because her babysitter fell through. The woman insists that she needs her hair done as she's going to her 50th birthday party that evening. The woman is begging and the child seems pretty quiet, so my mom agrees if she can keep the girl in a chair. The Karen says no problem. She then sets her kid on a chair with nothing to do or play with, and she goes to get her hair done. Well, surprise, the kid got absolutely bored. The kid starts roaming around and ends up by some shelves where bottles of shampoo were displayed. She began taking them off the shelf, removing lids and switching them to different bottles, leaving the bottles all over the floor and knocking over others in the process. At one point, she knocks over a bottle of shampoo and she slowly began to empty it all over the floor. The whole time, her mom was reading a magazine and she hadn't checked on the child once. My mom missed all this because she was mixing up the color for Karen's hair in the back. By the time she sees the mess, the girls walk through the shampoo and she's tracked it around the salon. So there's little blue shoe prints all over the floor and on the white salon couches. At that point, my mom comes out and sees the mess, and she says, "Hey, do you see this mess your daughter made? This is why I don't allow children to be unattended in the salon. You're gonna have to pay to replace that bottle of shampoo your daughter dumped out." At that, the Karen says, "The hell I am. It's your fault for putting bottles where a child can reach them. Common sense is to put them up higher. I'm not paying for anything." My mom tells her, "First off, as I've said before, I don't allow children in here without someone to watch them, so this has never actually happened. Secondly, how did you not notice what she was doing? Someone could get hurt if they slipped and fell." My mom starts taking the bottles off the floor and she grabs a roll of paper towels. The girl sees this and she begins to cry, which quickly turns into Karen screaming. My mother looked at her other clients who are being forced to watch this and she says, "I'm so sorry, but this isn't gonna happen. You're gonna have to reschedule for when you have a sitter." Karen says, "I told you, I need my hair done for tonight's fundraiser." To which my mom says, "Fundraiser? I thought it was your birthday party." At that, Karen doesn't miss a beat and she says, "Oh, it's both actually. I'm collecting money for a charity for my birthday." At that point, my mom knows she's full of it. She says, "Okay, I'll tell you what. If you show me your ID that proves it's your birthday, then I will do your hair today. If not, you're gonna have to pay for this bottle of shampoo, leave my store, and then find a new stylist." Karen now knows she's caught, and she says, "How dare you treat me this way? It's my damn birthday, for F6. Cut me a little slack. If I tell you it's my birthday, you shouldn't need to see proof. What kind of customer service is this? I'm not paying for that bottle." And that's the point where we suddenly hear a crash coming from the bathroom. The little girl had wandered off again, and she had knocked over a giant decorative vase with flowers onto the floor. Glasses everywhere, and the child starts to cry and scream again. And that's when my mom screams, "That's it. Get out. You're not welcome here." Karen then replies, "This is your fault again. Stop putting things where children can reach them." My mom says, "Lady, this is your fault for lying to me and not supervising your kid. Don't make this my fault. If you don't leave now, I will be calling the police." Karen then grabs her daughter by the arm, drags her from the bathroom to the front door, and she's still wearing the cape that protects your clothes from the hair dye. But my mom just let her take it. But it doesn't end there. A few days later, the woman made an appointment under a different name for the same cut and color. She shows up wearing big-ass sunglasses, but she was recognized instantly. When confronted, she denied it had been her, even denying that she ever had kids. As soon as my mom asks for her driver's license to show proof that it's not her, the woman realizes that she got caught again. She then throws a pen across the room, calls my mother a effing C-word, and then she stomped out. We never saw her again, thankfully. Guys, I love how she just comes back with sunglasses on thinking she wouldn't be recognized. And the audacity of that woman, right? It's my birthday, so just let my child destroy your damn store. This was a good 10 years ago. On this day, I was studying from home, and this huge dog walks up to my front door and sat wagging its tail at me as it looked into my house. I could see a phone number on the collar, and I got the number through the screen door. I then called the owner, and it went something like this. I call and say, "Hi, my name's OP, and I have this dog that's in my front yard. I got your number from the caller, and it's this dog." Now, normally a good pet owner would go, "Oh my goodness, I'm on the way." But no, the woman yells and says, "I have a newborn, and I just got to the shop, so you'll have to wait. You've got no idea how hard it is to have a baby." I tell her, I'm sorry, but the dog does need to be collected. It's been wandering around on the street and it could get hurt. The woman then screams at me and says, "Then put it in your house." I tell her I can't do that. My mom's not home. I just can't let a random dog into my house. "Then put it in your backyard. Get over it. It's your responsibility because you found him." I tell her, no, it's actually not. The dog then walks off my property, and I tell her, actually, the dog just left my property. It's on public property now. And I live on a hill where cars fly down that road real fast. It's not safe. You have to come get your dog. The woman tells me, "You go get it. You found the damn dog, so you go get it. I'm doing my shopping, and you're just gonna have to wait." She then hung up on me, so at that point, I call animal control to collect the dog. The dog decided to come back to snooze on my doormat and wandered out to greet the animal control people when they arrived. When I explained to animal control what the owner had said to me, they were horrified, and they noted it in their records as a concern about the dog's welfare. As the lovely animal control ladies left, she said, "Oh boy, the owner's gonna regret this because she has to pay a $110 fine before we can return the dog to her." It'll teach her to take better care of her dog. Anyways, a good 4 to 5 hours later, I get a phone call from the Karen, and I pick up saying, "Hello?" She says to me, "I'm coming right now to get my dog." I say to her, what dog? I was playing dumb. "My dog. Where is it? What's your address so I can collect it from you?" I then say, "Oh, you're the lady I phoned a few hours ago about the dog you abandoned." She then says, "Not abandoned. I asked you to look after him for me, so where are you so I can come get it?" I then tell her I said I could not restrain it. And that's when the woman loses it and she says, "What? You couldn't even bother putting him in your house or your backyard? I told you to restrain him, so where is he?" I then say to her, "I don't know, it's been 5 hours. The woman then screams at me that I'm useless and that I needed to take care of the dog since I found it. And that's when I tell her, "You didn't seem to care much about the dog when I called before. Contact animal control." And then I hung up. Yeah, she's probably not capable of being a parent either. Like, this sounds exactly like the type of person who forgets a dog or a kid in the car and just goes shopping. And speaking of that, this next post is shared by Jimmy. And Jimmy says, "Back in the 1980s, my dad was the manager of a Kmart. There was this one lady who accidentally locked her baby in the back of the car with her keys inside of it. She had come into the store because no cell phones back then, and she wanted them to call a locksmith. Now this was Texas in July or August, so it gets hot really fast. The locksmith and police get called. The baby was crying and in distress while they waited, and everybody was getting really nervous, but the mom wouldn't budge on them damaging her car even to save her baby's life. People were saying, 'Hey, your kid could die,' and she said they'd be fine, and to wait. The woman then said she would sue anyone who damaged her car and that it was brand new. And that's when this large, way over 6-foot Texan walks up to the lady and asked, 'Do you know who I am?' The lady then gets incredulous and she says, of course she doesn't. The man then says, 'Good.' And then with his cowboy boots, he kicked in the front window of the car and then he walked away, while she shrieked that her car was damaged. People then gathered to try to help the baby. So the cops and ambulance showed up later and all she wanted to do was get the guy arrested. But no one knew who he was, because he had vanished at that point. My dad was pretty sure he was friends with at least a few of the workers there, but yeah, on that day, no one knew who he was. Not all heroes wear capes, guys. Some wear big cowboy boots and show up when needed. Seriously, that guy should have given her the boot as well. Like, what in the world, lady? Your baby's crying in a locked hot car, and all you can think of is not damaging your car because it's brand new? Like, nobody can bust your window to save your child and not get sued? Yeah, some people and their priorities, guys. Like, the cop should have arrested her that day. So I'm fairly low-key and patient. I have to be, raising a 5-year-old. Most Karen encounters, I shrug off and wonder what's going on in their life that they're so high-strung, oblivious, or just rude. Now, my 5-year-old son, on the other hand, he's a complete tattletale, especially when it comes to entitled rude Karens. I'm teaching him to be polite, to wait his turn, to not speak out of turn, etc., and he's learning quite nicely. So this happened this morning at the coffee shop on our way to school. An older woman walks past the line to the glass counter that has a lot of prepared foods. I just assume she's checking out what's available until after a minute, she doesn't go to the back of the line. Now, know when my son sees something like this, I just play along and truly embarrass whomever his target is. My son screams, Daddy, I think that woman's trying to cut in line." I look at him and say, "Who is?" My 5-year-old son then points at her and says, "Her, right there, she cut in line." I say to him, "Are you sure?" To which he says, "Yes, Dad. She walked right in front of us, walked past everybody. She didn't wait in line. That's not nice." My son's talking so loudly that people around are picking up on this and they're just smirking. My son says, "Dad, I saw her walk past all these people and get in front of us." My son then points to everybody behind us. Of course, the woman hears this and she gives us a look. And that's when I tell her, "Well, that's not cool, is it, ma'am? The end of the line is that way." The woman then says to me, "I just need to get a few pastries. It'll only be a second." I tell her I'm sure they'll still be there when it's your turn in line. She then glares at me and my son and now notices that everyone behind me is laughing at her. And she says, "Seriously? I'm double parked. It's only gonna be a minute." My son says, "Dad, what's trouble parked?" I correct him and say, "Double parked, buddy. It means she parked illegally in the street. She's blocking other cars because she's in a hurry." My son then asked me, "Can you go to jail for double parked?" At this point, the others in line are laughing out loud right now, and the barista's trying hard to hide a smile. The barista says to her, "Ma'am, did you order online?" To which she says, "No, I just need half a dozen pastries." The barista then tells her, "You need to wait your turn." It was at that point the woman gives up, scoffs, and leaves, pastryless. My son then asked me, "Hey, is she going to jail?" I tell her, "No, buddy." Now sadly, there was no applause or anything more, just a few shared smiles and a very gratified 5-year-old. Oh, a 5-year-old calling out an entitled woman. I friggin' love it. And hey, good job, Dad, for teaching your son to call out and shut down these entitled people at such a young age. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our /entitled people. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's lineup of stories. I hope you didn't shake your heads too hard, and if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm gonna link it right here. It's an r/I don't work here lady, where an entitled Karen decides to mess with the wrong person and destroys her own career. It's such a crazy story. It's such a funny story. So go check it out if you haven't, and myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.